Hello and welcome to DC Velocity's Thought Leadership Series. My name is Mark Solomon. I'm Senior Editor at DC Velocity Magazine. We are pleased to be joined today by Nick Little. Nick is Assistant Director, Executive Development Programs at the Eli Broad College of Business at Michigan State University. And he's been there for almost 20 years. Before that, 20 years at Royal Mail, otherwise known as the UK Post Office, working in a number of supply chain leadership roles there. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Most of your work today, if not all of it, is focused on strengthening the talent pipeline from universities, colleges and universities to industry. Talk about the imbalance, talk about the ramifications of it, and also talk about what you are doing or your team is doing to resolve that.
Okay, the rapid increase in supply chain management as a discipline and recognized by companies as a potential big competitive advantage has led to a great demand for people and talent. Not just the sheer number of bodies, but people who can actually help move things forward, solve problems, deal with a lot of the issues that lead to thinking how can supply chain perform better in organizations. So several years ago we found that there seemed to be a big gap between the number of people who were being sought by industry and the number of people who were being turned out by universities and colleges with the right sort of skills and capabilities and knowledge that industry was looking for. We did a back of the envelope calculation, myself and several other people from other universities as well and from several businesses, and we came to a factor of about 6-to-1 demand exceeding supply on a global basis. And that was 7 years ago. I would say that despite the fact there's a lot more universities now that teach supply chain courses, we're still falling considerably short of what university can provide globally to the needs of industry. So we need to do something about that. It's very hard to expand the number of places on courses. It is easier for new universities to come on stream and develop their own supply chain courses. Several universities have changed the names of their courses from an engineering course maybe to an engineering and supply chain course, or more commonly from an operations management course to a supply chain or a purchasing course to supply chain. But at Michigan State, what we found as a solution to help companies is we cover the whole breadth of the supply chain field. So we do everything from demand planning, procurement, manufacturing and service operations, logistics and distribution, customer service as well, and also look at the returns. So we take the whole breadth and give our people a very broad understanding and broad education in all those aspects, rather than drilling deep down into one of them. When they get positioned in their jobs, then companies can help develop that for them. But as they go through their careers, we and other universities can also help support executive learning through people's careers. Once they get into supervisory management, senior management, executive positions, then we're there to help them with what's new and current, what's changed since they did their undergrad or master's programs.
You mentioned the last study you did was 7 years ago and the ratio was 6-to-1, and in the intervening years there have been more programs made available. The supply of educational curriculum has improved.
Yes.
Would you say the ratio has narrowed if you had to take an educated guess, or would you say it is pretty much the same as it was back then?
I'd say it has marginally narrowed, but only very slightly. And the reason for that is industry is now much more aware of the fact that supply chain contributes very directly to success in the marketplace. And they're bringing a lot more supply chain people into their organization as a result. You've just got to look at the way salaries have increased over recent years to be able to see evidence of that. And the fact that there's a lot of supply chain positions out there for middle managers and senior managers that are unfilled because companies can't find the right people with the right skills. So I think the demand has increased. I think the supply has increased, but I think there is still a similar magnitude of shortage.
So the demand is increasing at a faster rate than the supply of people coming out of school.
The demand is increasing throughout the hierarchy of somebody's supply chain career. So from a university perspective, yes, they're taking on more people from a supply chain program. Yes, they're looking for more people, but they're not actually finding enough of them. And this is true globally, not just in North America. What we're actually seeing is that in a lot of companies, they're solving the senior management issue more by taking people from other functions, such as engineering, such as marketing, such as finance, and getting those people to understand and work in supply chain. From a university perspective, what we're finding is that some universities have really good engineering programs, and they're able to work with their business college to put together a supply chain course that adds into the engineering program, so that people come out from an engineering program or a packaging program or whatever it might be with a basic understanding of what supply chain is about as well, and they can go and work in some supply chain jobs as well, particularly the technical ones.
Would it behoove industry to perhaps think outside the box and maybe fund programs within universities that would help expand the curriculums, the teachings, and the pipeline?
There is a lot of opportunity for industry to work much more closely with universities to do things like that, yes. There is an additional constraint, though. The faculty to teach supply chain programs is limited. So the number, when you're a highly accredited university like Michigan State, you have to have PhD people to teach the undergrad programs. So there is a limited number of those that are available. There's a limited pipeline coming through the system, because what a PhD earns when they're doing their PhD is very low compared to what they could earn if they stayed in industry. So we need to perhaps focus on industry helping to pay to develop the teaching resource that'll actually help students go through those programs. So it's a good idea, but it needs to be directed at where the biggest problem is immediately.
Let me touch on that point briefly. Are the folks who teach supply chain, the PhDs of today, the professors of today, are they retiring and there may be fewer people coming up from behind to take their place?
There is precious little retirement, actually. Okay. There is a tremendous increase in velocity of those professors moving and getting promoted to become senior professors or chaired professors at other universities who are expanding their supply chain degree programs.
And are there examples of professors who leave academia to go to better paying jobs in industry and taking their skills and knowledge?
They do it through consulting work rather than actually leaving. They've got plenty of flexibility to be able to do that. So there's a good relationship that gets developed there as well. It's very hard once you're in an academic environment to move back into industry. It's a lot easier to try and attract people from industry who've maybe served 30 years doing something, who want to change in their career. And they could come and they could actually teach. If they got the qualifications to do a PhD, then great. If they don't, community colleges, technical colleges are the ideal places for them to help teach. And then those students can feed into the four-year college system as well.
Okay. Last question. And if you're giving a lecture to this audience and giving them one thing to take away as far as how to bring this imbalance into balance. These are industry folks largely. What would you tell them?
I'd say that they've got the opportunity to get out and help universities attract talent by talking to middle school and high school people about the excitement of their jobs. And that way people will understand that supply chain is not about truck driving. It's not about the low-paid things like that. It's about the whole range of blue-collar and white-collar jobs, and it is a potential career path to the very top of industry. And that's a message we need to get together out to everybody to understand supply chain properly.
Nick, thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.